Hello and welcome to Walk the Talk Show with Waylon Lewis. Once a week we, being me, I guess, do a little solo video on a specific topic. So this week is the Buddhist concept of natural hierarchy, which is, you don't have to care about Buddhism to care about this. It directly addresses our right livelihood, our jobs, our happiness in our jobs, our fulfillment in our jobs or lack thereof, and how we can find fulfillment, make money, and be of service, ideally. And that is the concept of natural hierarchy. For those who have seen Office Space or one of a million movies kind of making fun of kind of incompetent administrative hierarchies, this is sort of the opposite of that. So natural hierarchy is a term that was created by Trungpa Rinpoche, who is a great Buddhist teacher, came to America. My parents studied with him. You can check out his books, Trungpa. And so basically the concept of natural hierarchy is, from my point of view as the boss of Elephant, I work with a talk show crew of 4 people or something, 5 people or something, and then you know, a staff of like 10 people with a couple part-time people, and then tons of writers, some of whom are paid, the featured columnist type of people, and then a big public. So I have this sort of hierarchy out here. The way I can approach it is through fear, called lids. I can kind of like be a lid on a mason jar and trying to keep people down and keep them orderly and keep everything working properly the way I want it to work, which doesn't involve a lot of two-way communication or joy or other people working with joy. As the author of Le Petit Prince, Little Prince, said, if you want to teach men how to, I'm going to butcher the quote, but it's something like, if you want to teach men how to sail, don't teach them how to rig this and tie that and do this and do that. Teach them, communicate to them a love for the sea. And if they have that love for the sea, they'll learn on their own. So that's been what I've always tried to do with Elephant. Tried and failed, but I think right now it's going pretty well. So that is more the concept of flowers. So there's lids, where you're trying to suppress your staff in a sense and keep everything together, and then there's flowers. And this applies equally if you're in the hierarchy. There can be a lot of competition in the lids idea. I want to get big at the expense of you, or if you're getting big, that's a threat to me. So there's the setting sun vision, as Trungpa Rinpoche calls it, kind of degraded, samsaric, confused, competitive vision for hierarchy. And then there's a more uplifted, where everyone is pointed to the same thing. If you're a flower, you're pointed at the sun. And everyone can kind of work together, and it can be a lot more fun. And a couple specific techniques within that, what we call touch and go, which is kind of a basic meditation instruction, is everyone is instructed in Elephant to touch in with each other and then go and do. So the touch in is sort of the employee part. You're respecting the hierarchy, you're communicating, you're learning what the person above or beside or beneath you has to communicate about something, and then you can go do it. And that's the entrepreneurial part. You go do it in your own creative, fun way. So we're not micromanaging everything. The other thing, touch and go, and there's one other I always talk about, driving all blames into one. So the Buddha talks about how anger or blame is like a hot coal, or you could think of a hot potato, and no one wants to hold it, everyone wants to push it away. Driving all blames into one is the opposite. You just kind of take it and own it. And this is very effective in romantic relationships as well, or a parental relationship, where instead of just pushing the blame around, you can just take the blame. You don't have to actually believe that it's your fault if it's not your fault. This isn't a kind of like, I'm a doormat, walk all over me kind of thing. You just take the blame. And when the blame is taken, the interesting thing is both parties stop arguing about whose blame it is, and you actually start figuring out solutions, and you start seeing the situation as it is. And the interesting thing is, you can take the blame, and at that point it becomes very clear where the blame lies. And usually it's a mix of both people. It's confusion, right? Miscommunication. What we have here is a failure to communicate. So it's not that the blame becomes yours. It's just that it kind of like becomes clear what to do about it. So a bunch of specific things about natural hierarchy. One is engaging in this notion of natural hierarchy is a wonderful way if you're doing a job that you don't enjoy, you don't feel fulfilled. If you're going to read about natural hierarchy, you will probably wind up quitting your job. So be careful. This is very dangerous stuff. Dangerous in the best possible way. If, however, you're in a kind of workable job that's good and bad, happy and sad, this could help you sort that out. I always tell a story about my mentor, Jeff Walcher, at Shambhala Mountain Center. And I'd worked for other Shambhala organizations that were much more lids, much more setting sun. But Jeff Walcher, one of the first days I got there, he was my mentor. He was this big, important guy creating this multi-billion-dollar development project. He jumped into the mailroom. We had a deadline, and he started fixing the fax machine, and he started helping collate. He wasn't above doing anything, and that's fundamental to natural hierarchy, is that bosses, employees, everyone, you're all equal. That's not to say you're not still in a hierarchy and that there's communication and that there's greater roles and bigger flowers and smaller flowers, but the bigger flowers want to help the small, arrogant flowers full of potential to grow up and to kind of be tamed and trained and to be fully ourselves. So if you're a boss out there, don't be above doing anything. And then I think that's about it. Obviously, within this right livelihood, there's 3 principles to right livelihood that I've talked about on Elephant. One is to do what you love and are good at. You can think of people on Etsy who are kind of just doing their like craft, or a farmer who just loves his or her work, going to market or work in the fields, working with the horses or the cows, whatever it is. But you don't have to idealize it as some sort of like farmer kind of thing. It could be that you're an office manager and you really love relating to people and you love being on the phone and you love, you know, any job on earth, someone can love it and really enjoy it. So you're good at it, you enjoy it, you can make money doing it. It's important to be able to feed yourself and, you know, take care of others that you're responsible for and with, and then that it's of some benefit to others. If you're doing a job that is bad for society, but you're making tons of money, that's not ideal. So it's not it's not like it shouldn't be a choice. There is a way to do all 3, and there's lots of great books about how to do that aren't Buddhist that are very practical. So now I have a couple quotes from Trungpa Rinpoche in his talk titled Lids and Flowers, which you can find on Elephant. You can search Lids, Flowers, Trungpa, and you'll find it. Trungpa. He talks a lot about the notion of complaining, which is often suppressed. In the Shambhala community, I've found historically complaining is frowned upon and kind of suppressed. And often when there's controversies or scandals or whatever, despite the example of Trungpa Rinpoche, who's wide open about the crazy self that he was and the stuff he did, that the people in the hierarchy of Shambhala itself often suppress complaints. So he says, so if you have any complaints, in other words, please speak out. You should speak up. In other words, instead of talking behind somebody's back, which is gossip,